at somebody else black and saying, I got love for you. I don't care where you from. I don't care what you've been through. I'm not going to look at you through the same eyes that the white folks look at you. I'm going to look at you understanding that you got trauma, understanding that you didn't have a daddy, like I didn't have a daddy. Like we both
Right.
got shit we going through. I'm not going to come down on you. You know what I mean? All right. So, last story. A man has been charged in connection with a fatal shooting of a father by his 3-year-old daughter in a car in Memphis, Tennessee. So follow me, y'all. This story is a little weird, but it actually happened. So court
Mm.
documents said that Alante Jones, who's 26, has been charged with reckless homicide and unlawful possession of a weapon in the man's death on Wednesday night. Now, they don't say the name of the man who died, but basically, this particular man was driving a car. His passenger seat was his girlfriend. Behind him, right behind his seat, was his 3-year-old daughter. He picked up Alante Jones. I think it was a friend of his. He was just giving him a ride somewhere, right? Follow me.
Wow.
He picks him up to give him a ride somewhere. Alante gets in the back seat. Now, I'm not sure why or who in their right damn mind would do this, but he get in the back seat. He has a gun on him. He puts the gun on the seat right next to the little girl.
Right.
And I guess within a split second, I'm thinking maybe this brother put the gun down and got on the phone. Maybe he put the gun down and looked out the. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. But the 3-year-old little girl picked up the gun. And you know what she did? She shot that thing and she shot her father in the back
In
of his
the
head, killing him instantly. Right? So look
wow.
at this situation. So this brother is going to jail, probably going to jail for a long time. The baby, she's not going to get no harm done to her. But think about the trauma. We talk about mental health and trauma. Think about what she's dealing with. She don't know nothing about no gun. And I'm not even sure because I want to say, being a gun owner myself, you want to give your kids gun safety, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you give them that at 3, though.
No.
So she ain't in a position to even learn how to use it. He was being severely irresponsible. But we got to look at all the moving parts. Like, um, I look at sometimes the killings that go on in my community. I did a report a couple weeks ago about 12 people being killed in one weekend. Like it was some horrible shit. A drive-by shooting, a 9-year-old girl is killed. But the
Yeah.
point is, our
Hmm.
level of comfort with firearms, there's something to that. The fact that, because the way I see it, being a law-abiding citizen at this point in my life, I don't know if any of us should be just riding around with a strap on us, on your person, right?
Right.
If your
Right.
lifestyle, if you're living the type of lifestyle where you need to carry a gun everywhere you go, you need to start reconsidering what
Right.
you actually doing with your life. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Because unfortunately, that brother is gone. Homeboy gonna be in jail forever, and the little girl got to deal with the trauma of actually killing her father. But like I go back to love, if this man would have gotten to the car, boom, I'm getting into the car with individuals that I love, that I
Right.
care about. These is my
Right.
people. I'm not putting that gun on the seat. You ain't even gonna know I have a gun on me. I'm trying to protect y'all in the car. If I put this gun down, if I fall the wrong way, if something happened, I'm gonna affect the lives in this car, right? So when do we get to the point where we just don't give a shit about each other, man? And we talking about Trump and Biden again. That's a small piece of um, what we need to do in this country. That's a small piece of getting some type of reform or changes to be made. That's a small piece. The bigger pieces is right in our community. The bigger pieces is how you look at yourself. I know so many people who I'm realizing now, they don't love me simply because they don't love themselves. They haven't gotten to the point yet where they know how to love them. If you don't love you, like I always say, it's gonna be a difficult fucking time for you figuring out how to love me. How you feel about that
Exactly.
story, Cherene?
Well, about that story in particular, when you talk about having the right to bear arms, we're one of the
Mm-hmm.
states that we don't have that right, but states like Texas and
Mm-hmm.
Florida do.
Mm-hmm.
So I do now. I believe that we should be able to have bear arms.
Mm-hmm.
It should be in the glove compartment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as far as when that young person came, when that man came in there, he had to be young. I don't know if you got the age, but he
26.
that's still that's a young man. That's a
Yes.
young man. I knew he had to be younger because
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't really have any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then the thing of it is, what were you doing to when you didn't see the girl pick up the gun, do like this? She had to have been playing with it. So
Mm-hmm.
what were you doing? Looking out the window, rolling up a blunt? What was you doing? Rolling up a blunt? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to be funny. I want to know what you were doing, or were you on Instagram?
You know what I mean? Think about it. Yeah.
What were you doing? Because even if you make that mistake, why didn't you at least keep your hand on it? Like right here. Why didn't you pay attention? But at the end of the day, I'm really confused on that story. I feel like I would go into a type of way far fetched thought. Like, did you do it on purpose? Because it makes no sense for you to
It makes
set
no
that
sense.
gun down and not watch it. Now, when you talk about everything should be done with love, indeed, and that's always been my goal and my dream. Everything we do should be out of love. When we speak to people, should be with love. And when I say that, that's respect.
Mm-hmm.
That's unconditional love. That's
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging their concerns when they speak. My mom taught me a long time ago, when someone shares their thoughts with you and their dreams and their hurts and their pains, don't think about what you're going to say next. Listen, because that's a gift. So everything that my mother taught me to do was out of love. And if people can have that, follow the golden rule and treat people how they want to be treated, the world will be a better place. But let me tell you how deep it is. When you talk about, if everybody could just love, they don't love themselves. How can they love me, Cherene?
There we
Well,
go.
when you sit, I'm 47 years old. I ever since I've been watching television, all I see is people that do not look like me. When I see beauty, is blonde and blue eyes with straight hair,
Yeah.
right? When I see any television show besides Good Times that was made way before I was born, and Martin, things of that nature, those four shows out of all the other 100,
Mm-hmm.
when you see that, you start asking yourself as a young woman and as a young man, well, something must not be right with me. I don't see
Mm.
myself on that television. I don't see myself
Mm.
on that commercial. I don't see
Mm.
myself on in the malls, with the Mac makeup, the anything. I do not see myself unless it has something to do specifically with black, like Black History Month or something like that.
Mm.
So we've been taught by our oppressors, right? Our oppressors hate us. And guess what they did? They taught us to hate ourselves, and we release that hate and even rage, because most of us are angry about the
Mm.
situation, upon each other,
Ain't that the
until
truth?
it's a whole reprogramming that needs to be done. In regards
Man,
to the
ain't that the
system, it
truth?
doesn't need to be fixed, it needs to be shut down, like the whole system in regards to the courts and the laws and all that. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't need to be fixed. Like, we're trying to fix something. It doesn't need to be fixed. It needs to be broke down and rebuilt from the bottom up. What's the likelihood of that? So we talked. The three things you asked me about was that young girl and the gun. To
Mm-hmm.
me, I don't. it's hard for me to even comment on that, because it makes just absolutely no sense.
And I
In
feel you,
regards
but
to
that's
in regards to unity and us showing love, we can't show each other love. And I don't want to say can't. That's another word my mom didn't want me to use, because there's some of us that can. But
yeah.
for the majority of Black people are not going to be able to treat each other with love, because they don't love themselves. They
Mm-hmm.
have the same hate that our oppressor has. They have a feeling about themselves,
Yes.
and so
Yes.
they release that hate up on you. That was almost a hate move when he went in. That wasn't love. To put a
Mm-hmm.
gun next to your 3-year-old daughter,
Mm-hmm.
he didn't
Another
value his life.
another thing I was just thinking while you was talking, Shireen. I know a lot of young people with kids, or
Hmm.
when they're around kids, they treat kids like adults. They don't know how to create the separation between, I'm an adult, I'm gonna conduct myself this way, you're a child. As you was talking, you know what could have happened? He
What?
could have damn near gave her the gun. He could have
I
put the gun
know.
there to say, "You want to play with the gun, baby?
Look
Oh,
at
look at little
me.
mama playing with the gun," not realizing what's about to happen. So think about the
Yeah.
level of, because I've seen adults in their 20s and 30s treat their black kids like their friend. And the cold part is, other cultures may be able to get away with that. See white kids in the grocery store, they running around, they reckless. Well, one of the reasons their parents allow them to do it is because why can't they run around? It's our country. Who gonna stop them? Who gonna do what?
I
We
have the right.
understand. I have a right. We be like, no, no, no. Come here. Our parents, our mothers, many people may not realize this, but our mothers treat us a particular way based on slavery. When slavery days, because they didn't want their son to get taken and be a slave, they would say all kind of shit. No, no, master, you don't want him. He dumb. He's shiftless. No, no, they wanted to keep their sons as close as possible. You know what I mean?
Speak when we're spoken to, and that's something
See,
that we take pride in. Our children, when I was raised, my mother raised me. Children are supposed to be speak. They only supposed to speak when they're spoken to. You know what I'm saying? That goes way back to say slavery, because they
think
knew they
about
didn't want
that.
their kids to speak because their kids would get beat.
Exactly. Or they didn't want them to speak to show they can speak, to show that they learning.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They'd be
Exactly.
like, "Oh, your ass been reading a book, little nigga. Come on." You see what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So
Exactly.
we got so much. Our DNA is embedded with unhealthy practices that some of us don't even know. That shit's like working on autopilot. That's a great point that you make, because we beating our kids, how we beat our kids. Even though I was hit when I was a kid, there has been times where I've had to discipline my sons. But in
Right.
general, pulling a belt out to whoop a person, that ain't no African shit.
Well, let me tell you something. I was watching a show with Iyanla, or I can't
Hmm.
remember exactly who, and the man was trying to make it seem normal. He was trying to normalize the fact that, no, I was watching The Therapist. You ever watch that show on Vice?
No, no. Uh-uh.
Okay. Anyway, you have to watch it. He interviews stars, and they talked to him for about an hour. He was interviewing Joe Button. Joe Button. You know
Mm-hmm.
who he is?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Well,
yeah.
he was talking. He has issues with his mother. Well, his
Huh.
mother used to beat him. His mother used to have him strip down, take off all your clothes, and she would whoop him. And he was like, "But that's normal. That's what she had to do. That I got in trouble." And she said,
Oh.
if you were a grown man right now, would you want somebody to pull down your? Would you be humiliated if someone had you stripped down, butt naked, and beat you? Would you feel good about that? Would you think you deserve that? Would you feel humiliated? And he said, now that you say it, I think about it this way. She said, that's not okay. You were not supposed to be stripped
Mm.
down as a kid and beat. That is a form of us being like slaves. See,
Mm-hmm. That's
our slave.
abuse.
Yeah. So I mean, you can't expect kids to be able to love themselves and feel worthy when you telling them take up all your clothes, and then after I whoop you, you're gonna go get in this bath because I'm making steam now.
Humiliating shit.
Yeah,
That's
I'm gonna make it
humiliating.
sting. The little it's gonna sting now. So I mean, it's really, 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 really deep, and it all boils down to the way we're acting, the way how we don't have self love, the way that we hate ourselves, and perpetuate that same hate onto our people, the same way that we do this killing and don't value our own life. It all comes down to mental illness, from post traumatic slave syndrome, post traumatic stress syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
bipolar, multiple personality disorder, depression,
Mm-hmm.
anxiety.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. So I
So
think
mental
it's
illness
important.
is the key.
Yes, like you were saying, mental illness is the key, and we
We
need to
need
figure out a way to make that conversation more applicable in our community. Like, not be afraid of it, not be afraid to address. And again, like we were saying before, when we was talking, all of us may need to go see somebody. Like,
we
regardless
do.
of your standing in society, how much money you got, what you've been able to accomplish, a lot of
Right.
us have been through so much trauma, but we're just bred to deal with it and
Right.
normalize it. And it's so many things we normalize that is toxic and really killing us from the inside out. Some of the diseases that we get, you know what I mean? It's all based on
Mhm.
stress. It's all based on the foods that we eat, based on slavery. It kind of all goes back to our inception of coming here. You know what I mean?
And it goes with being homeless, being the lowest on the totem pole. It goes with having to live check to check. It goes with being a
Yeah,
single mother. It goes with
yeah.
being a single father. It goes with our children's dads being locked up in jail for their whole life. All
Mm-hmm.
these things that are going on cause stress, which then indeed cause hypertension, and all this stuff. So the key to getting our mental health well will affect our physical health. They go hand in
Definitely.
hand. We can't just keep
Definitely.
worrying about, okay, well, now I got the Fitbit, I'm walking, I'm lifting weights, I look good, I done lost some stomach, some inches. Your physical may look good, but your mental's not good. And
Mm,
the mental can still kill you because you could
mm,
just up and have a heart attack.
mm-hmm. And you thought she was healthy. We didn't see that. People have a heart attack. You like, wait a minute, he worked out. He looked
Yeah,
good. His
yeah.
Come on now. You definitely right. Well, man, look, that is it for the news stories. I don't know. I hope that 3-year-old girl isn't dealing with too much trauma. She killed her father. We got to think about that, y'all. For a 3-year-old girl who don't really know what happened too much, she just know this thing went off and I killed my father. Think about how she gonna view guns for the rest of her life. Think about how she gonna view that situation for the rest of her. Now, I mean, it's important to note that homeboy was apologetic. Like after it happened, he wasn't standing on no bullshit. He was like, I'm sorry. And, it's a little too late, but he was apologetic. He wasn't a licensed gun owner. You know what I mean?
He
He
was.
wasn't a licensed gun. No, he wasn't the licensed gun owner.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So all that needs to be taken into account. I pray for the little girl, but we got to do better as a people. We got to begin to not just love each other, but look after one another and be in a mindset that's based on business and progression. Because if your mindset is based on business and progression, you're not walking around with a gun like that. I'm
We
not
got to
saying you
come up with
shouldn't.
we got to come up with the code. You heard of Ice Cube's
Code of
code?
conduct. Yeah.
Did you heard Ice Cube's demands, right?
Yeah. Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
So he's demanding what for Black America people to do this for Black America, right?
Yes.
We
Yes.
can't we unfortunately I used to think I could save the world. We can't save the world, right? So we start in our communities.
Yep.
We can come up with a code of conduct and how you were saying how we treat each other, how we respect each
Yes.
other, how we look out for each
Yep.
other.
Yep.
Terms are important. Just
Mm-hmm.
everything that we do as a people has to be changed. It has to be like a whole 180. Or
Definitely.
if we don't, we're going to continue to see the same thing over and over again.
Definitely, definitely. All right, so we're done with the news stories. All right, done with the news stories. Now it's time for the topic. So for the topic,